varieties, but the problem is more the fact that, you know, for us, producing good wine is more a art than science. So producing a good grape is not based on science. So we should get more information about how to control the engine, so how to control the grape during berry formation. And because of that, four winemakers, Bolla, Masi, Pasqua, and Sartori, one of the four more important winemakers of the Veneto area, that is a very important area for wine production in Italy, decided to give us money and to start a pilot project. They didn't give the money alone, because they were giving us money also. The Veneto region gave us money. It's always like that. If no one starts, you don't get anything. But if there is somebody who sees something, at the end the other, usually the government or the public institution follow. So with that €1,000,000, we have been able to go to the Ministry of Agriculture and convince the Ministry of Agriculture that it was the time to start a genomic program in order to understand grapevine. And we started also discussing and talking to the French partners, and at the end we have been able in 2006 to sign an agreement between Italy and France in order to sequence the Vitis vinifera genome. We did it in 2007. I just one of a number of groups who participated in that initiative. I have to say that in Italy at that time we were very weak as a genomicist. So the majority of the work has been done by Genoscope, so by the French partner. Okay? But,
básicamente entonces él lo que explicó es que la industria de Verona fue un poco la semilla para que se haga la secuencia de Vitis vinifera en el mundo, porque no existía secuenciado a la Vitis vinifera, y eso nace con la iniciativa de ese grupo de 4 bodegas que invierten un porcentaje en la Universidad de Verona para comprar e instalar un equipamiento de genómica en la Universidad de Verona. Y entonces Verona se asocia con Francia, con algunos laboratorios que ya estaban en Vitis vinifera, pero que nadie había secuenciado el genoma. Y esta es un poco la publicación inicial, el primer genoma de Vitis vinifera, que eligen el Pinot Noir porque era... Why you select the Pinot Noir?
Because we wanted to sequence an Italian variety. The French people wanted to sequence a French variety, so we decided to sequence an international variety.
Así que decidieron por el Pinot Noir, o en Italia le llaman el Pinot Negro, como una representativa más internacional que, por ejemplo, si fuera la región de la Marone, ¿no? Entonces iniciaron el proyecto con eso. Él va a explicar ahora que después pasan a una segunda etapa donde secuencian la corvina de la Marone, ¿no?
And anyway, you can see the time that this project required and the cost, €13 million. So it's very much. But the information that we got out of this sequencing project, they were very much important. For instance, we found that in grapevine there are more genes than in human. So it doesn't look like, but grapevine is more complicated than what we are. And to understanding how grapevine is functioning is probably complicated as much as it is complicated to understand how we, as a human being, we function. Okay?
Él explica entonces que el genoma de la Vitis vinifera tiene 8.000 genes más, vieron, de 22.000 genes que tiene el humano, tiene 30.000, lo que lo hace más complejo, el genoma de Vitis vinifera. Lo que también lo hace interesante porque eso significa que puede haber más diversidad o más variaciones, y en definitiva que en ese cuadro que él mostraba estábamos entre el humano está entre el pollo y la Vitis vinifera, vieron el chicken y la uva.
And I have to say that with this sequencing, because we released the genome, of course, but the expertise that we have been able to accumulate during those 3 years, at the end were very good for us, because we learned a lot about grapevine, and we became the reference centers for grape wine all over the world. So we have now people from the US coming to Italy to learn how to analyze this genome. People from Chile, people from all over Europe, they now come in a place that until 5 years ago didn't know anything about genomics and knew very little about grapevine. We were very good winemakers, but we were producing that because of the art and not because of the science. So during the last years, we improved our capacity for analyzing genomes. I'm also sequencing human genomes. So that is it's quite strange because the expertise that we accumulated on a grapevine at the end is so good that we can also analyze human genomes with this instrument that was used also to sequence the Corvina genome, because the winemakers once again came to us and told us, okay, you guys have been able to sequence an international variety, but we do believe that every variety is producing a different wine. So the soil is very much important, the environment is very much important, but also the variety is very much important. In Italy we have 300 varieties, and we must be able to highlight the quality of each of those varieties. The first one we really want to characterize very well, because we need it, is the Amarone. So because of that they injected another 300,000 euro that together with the Veneto region co-founding raised the grant to 500,000 euro to sequence the Corvina genome. That was 3 years ago. Because of that, we sequenced the Corvina genome, understood the differences, structural difference compared to the Pinot Noir. There were some duplications, so some genes were duplicated, and we found several variations. These are the DNA polymorphism. There are around 400,000 differences between the Pinot Noir and the Corvina. And also the Corvina is very much heterozygous, something that is known in grapevine.
Esto es el ejemplo de la Corvina, entonces la variedad típica del Amarone, y recuerden este número que está a la izquierda, que son casi 400.000 variaciones en el genoma de Corvina con respecto al Pinot Noir, porque él va a mostrar ahora los datos del Tannat, ¿no? Entonces está bueno que se recuerden de esta diapositiva.
Since the plant genome is not a mix of different genomes, I told you the human genome is a mix of several persons who donate their DNA. So everything is represented there. But the grapevine genome is the Pinot Noir genome. So we were not sure that all the information or all the biodiversity of grapevine was represented in the Pinot Noir genome. So we decided also to follow the approach that has been used in 2010 to sequence the Panda genome, and so to do the novel assembly of pieces of DNA that were not matching with the Pinot Noir genome. And by doing that, we found that Corvina has a set of private genes that are present in this variety and that are missing in the Pinot Noir. So that's opened a new scenario, because probably every variety has a particular set of genes that is making the difference, and between us the number of genes is more or less the same. So the differences between us are based on those small differences that are reported there. So here we have a higher genetic diversity that is probably really very much contributing to the characteristic of the wine that is produced, for instance, by this plant. And there are also 3,000 genes that are used by the plant only during this particular phenomenon, and that are very much helping the winemakers of Verona to understand this process. So 2 years ago I was here invited by Fernando Alvarez for a course of bioinformatics in Montevideo, and had a few hours to go around. I asked Fernando to organize a meeting with my best friend and one of the most important persons in the world working on peroxynitrite, Rafael.